You've clicked on to the Sunday afternoon Tropical Storm Isaac update, located generally around the north coast of Cuba, and over the next several hours is going to be taking a run at the middle Florida Keys. Now we have got a tornado watch in place for South Florida and the Keys as well, as bands and conditions continue to deteriorate, pushing through the Keys in South Florida, up through Central Florida, even north of Orlando as well. And what that is going to do is going to bring squally showers and thunderstorms, gusty winds as well, and of course there's always a chance of some weak spin-ups of tornadoes as well with these bands pushing through. The overall satellite presentation shows a still disorganized Tropical Storm Isaac. The centre is located right around this general area here. Notice the lack of cloud cover here in the south and southeast side. That is because of dry air getting fed up from the southwest, and that might be impeding any sort of intensification of this circulation here. But if you notice here, the vast area of coverage of convection clouds, bands, and all it takes, folks, is this thing to all of a sudden start to wind up. We've got the air getting drawn in from surrounding areas into the centre. Of course, that will really quickly get this system going, dropping that pressure and increasing the winds as well. 60 miles per hour. Pressure at 995 in millibars, pushing to the west-northwest at around 18 miles an hour. But I'm really concerned, folks, that the potential is there for some pretty sharp intensification as we progress towards the evening hours and into the dark hours of night. Of course, you've got very warm waters here going through the Florida Straits. That's where the circulation, of course, is at the moment. And really the potential is very much there for this thing to all of a sudden intensify very quickly. Rapid intensification cannot be ruled out. We've seen that, of course. Perfect example, Hurricane Charlie was a Category 2 off southwest Florida, then all of a sudden intensified, went up 2 ranks and hit as a Cat 4 around the Punta Gorda, Port Charlotte area of southwest Florida back in 2004. We also seen with Katrina pushing into the Miami-Dade and Fort Lauderdale area. All of a sudden these folks had an 80-mile-an-hour hurricane rattling into the coastline. That of course wasn't forecasted either. The reason being is you've got a great atmosphere and you've also got very warm waters. That is what can happen, and I am concerned that the Florida Keys may be at risk of that very aspect tonight as this system all of a sudden gets going. It's a 65 mile per hour storm at the moment. It's very spaced out. We've seen gusts to 60 miles an hour in Pompano Beach earlier this morning. It wouldn't take an awful lot to really start to get that air getting fed into the centre of the circulation, drawing all these bands inwards like a skater pulling his arms in, and this system is off to the races here. Let's quickly look at the water temperatures here and see what we're dealing with. This is off NOAA, and you can see here those dark reds indicating mid to upper 80-degree water temperatures. Notice here over the central Gulf, the darker reds indicating water temperatures of 88 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. And you've also got that along the west coast of Florida, a large area of southwest Florida right up to the coast, and as well as that including the Florida Keys. Water temperatures are really warm. The problem also is that you've also got very deep water. Tropical systems, as they cross over these warm waters, likes to upwell colder water from deep below, from below that warm layer. But if you've got a warm layer that's stretching towards 100 meters down, any circulation isn't going to tap that colder water. So when you've got a really deep layer of warm water, say 100 meters or lower, that there's no cold water to upwell, therefore you've got optimum ability for this system, with the atmosphere of course being conducive to really become an explosive hurricane in this region here. That's what happened with Katrina, Rita, Wilma. The atmosphere was perfect and the water temperature, the content, thermal dynamics of that water was such that it really fueled a very powerful hurricane. And I'm not saying that we've got another Katrina on our hands by any means, but the potential is there for rapid development, for this system to ramp up into a 1, 2, 3 category hurricane and pushing on shore. the potential is there, and we need to watch that. You've got the loop current fed through the Yucatan Strait, loops around the central Gulf of Mexico, exits through the Keys and the Florida Straits, and eventually becomes the Gulf Stream. Of course, Isaac is crossing this region here, that deep warm water, not just warm, but it's deep warm, and that makes all the difference with these things here. Let's have a quick look at the forecast I had out to my subscribers, issued officially yesterday. Of course, you've got the track here slightly adjusted. It's needed to be adjusted down around this region here, and the reason being is originally I had this system skirting the south and into southwest Haiti, crossed into eastern Cuba, and perhaps skirting along the north coast before pushing through Key West or the Middle Keys, and eventually I had this track all the way up towards the Mobile, Alabama area. Now, I've had this general idea since the middle part of last week, so I'm quite pleased with it. A lot of folks had a system going up the east coast, striking the Carolinas. I always felt that if this system was going to remain weak enough down here, it would not catch the trough that was pushing through the southeastern part of the United States here. It wouldn't feel that. A stronger hurricane is higher in the atmosphere, reaching the steering winds that drive these systems, that basically steer these systems towards a given area. If the system remained weak enough, which it did, it would follow that easterly low-level trade wind, which it has done, of course, and that has meant that it's missed this connection with the trough. Now, you can see the track. Pay close attention to what I had out, and let's have a look at what the National Hurricane Center has issued this morning. Look at that track. That is a very worrying track, by the way. Look at it taking it in right around Mobile Bay. The cone of uncertainty also includes the greater New Orleans area, and you notice here, if you notice this little table at the bottom, watches and warnings, you've got a hurricane watch in place for the region, including the New Orleans area and all the way to the Apalachicola region of Florida here. This general area is on alert now. We've got, of course, meetings going on. We've got people that are now starting to look at their hurricane plan and getting that now looked at, trying to get supplies bought in stores. There's no point in leaving it to the last minute. Now is the time to start organising here. It looks very likely that we've got a hurricane on our hands for the middle part of the Gulf Coast sometime around Wednesday morning, midday Wednesday, depending on the speed of the circulation. The problem is, like I've kept saying to you, is these water temperatures are primed. We've not had any systems this year pushing through this region, so it's virgin territory. It's untouched territory in terms of these waters. When you've got system upon system pushing across these waters, it cools the content of the water down, but we've had none of that this year, and that is a big concern here. If you want to, check out my Twitter page, my official Isaac Update Twitter page, at IsaacMVW, and you can follow frequent updates. You can also click onto the markvoganweather.com, subscribe for only £3 or just under $5 per month. You've got up a ton of information, not just in the tropics, but on weather across the UK, Europe and the United States overall. But